Episode 134 of the RPM podcast. It's 8:25 p.m. on Monday, April 22nd, 2019. Is today Earth Day, Josh?
From the posts I've seen, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I thought it was not until this weekend, but now everybody's posting that it's Earth Day today on Facebook. So happy Earth Day. Yesterday was Easter and Earth Day, so we're really lining up the holidays one after another.
The only Earth Day related thing that we cover is Formula E.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're burning fossil fuels like crazy.
Yeah. So,
and rubber, too.
I just want to introduce Josh Matthews. He's the producer of our show. He's a former factory stock driver of the number 57. He says he's coming back racing, but I don't believe him.
The desire is there.
New Jersey at the Matthews Family Studio, and race chaser and spotter on NASCAR Modified Tour, Tim Riggleman. How you doing?
I'm good, ready to go.
Tim did a little race chasing this weekend, but we'll get to that a little bit later. It was a tough weekend for local racing. I mean, a lot of tracks had scheduled off because of Easter weekend, and then the tracks that did have racing scheduled for Easter weekend battled the weather. I mean, some tracks did get it in. Thank God, New Egypt Speedway got it in. Mahoning Valley got their racing in. Unfortunately, a lot of tracks down south and up north. Me and Nancy were even thinking about going racing at Star Speedway. They were having a big race up there. They had like a kind of like a open competition 8-cylinder stock race up there. Me and Nancy were thinking about going up there. All we had to do to our cars was put DOT tires on it, which I still have a few laying around from the old DOT tires day, but they canceled on like Thursday because they knew the weather was going to be bad. That's how bad the weather was in the area for racing.
Is that the only change you'd have to make to that car? I mean, like, do they allow wedge bolts and things like that? I mean, when it's open
who
cup.
knows what you're going to be racing against, but I'm friends with them from when I race up in Hudson, and I'm friends with a lot of people from up that way on Facebook, and a lot of them came down this year to Turkey Derby to watch me race. And then when they had this, they called it like a Pro Enduro Series race. They were opening the rules up other than stock to get some old like street stock type cars in, and they said, hey, your car's legal. If you want to throw DOT tires on and come up and race with us, come up and race with us. Who knows? I might have been, I might have had a superior car. I might have been underpowered. Who knows? But that's why they go with the DOT tires. The DOT tires even a lot of that up. If a guy's got big motor and big gear, you really can't get it to the track with the DOT tires,
Right.
We were just going to go up there and have some fun, but it got rained out.
Yeah.
My brother.
I was going to say, Wall, which they were talking about a lot of modified guys possibly coming down to practice for the tour race coming up, and their practice got rained out.
Yeah, we know Jimmy Blewett was looking forward to it. He got his tour car all done and ready to go over there, and he was real excited to bring his car over there and shake it down and get it ready. He's really focused on that Wall race. He really wants to win that tour race. He wants to protect home grounds and not let an outsider come in here and beat him at his home track. Unfortunately for Jimmy, it did rain out. It did rain Saturday. I think if we would have raced Saturday night, I think we would have got it in. It rained all morning and in the afternoon, but it cleared up at night for Saturday night. I mean, New Egypt was able to get their show in. So I think if we were scheduled to race on Saturday night, not practice, because that was like 12 to 4, and it was pretty crappy from 12 to 4, so they canceled practice, and Diane actually, I think, canceled it Friday night or early Saturday morning.
I think it was Friday night. They just said, the weather's going to be, and it was supposed to be a daytime practice, so it wasn't going to pan out too well.
I think if we were scheduled to race Saturday night, we would have been able to get in it because it did stop raining. It did clear up. I was camping at my campground over at Timberland Lake Campground in Jackson, and Saturday night actually turned out to be a pretty good night at the camper, and we could hear the cars at New Egypt Speedway racing, so we was glad they got their show in.
I will say on Friday night, Scott, if you had any leaks in your camper, you would have found them.
Oh my God, it poured. We stayed at our camper Friday night. It poured, and it really came down hard. And we just sat in the camper and watched TV and let it rain.
Yeah, I was down in Maryland camping with the wild horses on Assateague, and we had a good time. But we knew our tent leaked. We found that out earlier in the day or the day before with a quick rainstorm. So we ended up sleeping in a friend's tent for that night. Otherwise, we were going to the car. So. We had a good trip, but yeah, that was a heck of a storm.
A lot of the campers at my campground Friday night, what they do is they put like an easy up over their tent. You know what I'm saying? So like
it's just an extra
Yeah, like an extra roof. You know what I'm saying? Like their tent is actually underneath the easy up. You know,
They're double
and some
bagging it.
people, yeah, double wrapping it. Some people even take like tarps and string it over their tents from tree to tree, and they do it that way too. You know, to keep the rain off their tent. You know, but I'm telling you what, man, I don't care what kind of tent you have, you're going to be a little damp because of the weather. It was bad. It rained
That
hard.
or if the tent didn't blow away.
Right. Well, that's the other thing too. You put it easy up under your tent, and now you got to worry about it blowing away because the wind was kicking too.
So
All right, we're getting into race car stuff now. We're going to talk a little bit about NASCAR. NASCAR was off for the Easter weekend, which I don't think is a good idea. I guess it's a good idea because the teams are breaking and all that stuff. But I'd love them to have like a Saturday show on Easter weekend, and that's what killed me. All these short tracks closed because of Easter and stuff. But we race on Saturday. Easter's on Sunday. You know, I don't know.
I
think
mean,
it's a good.
if you look at the we'll call it a solid Christian foundation, if you can feel my eye roll in that, for the fan base and whatnot, and really the driver base, but. Uh, so it's good for a lot of the drivers, especially NASCAR, having that weekend off. They get to spend it with their families and stuff. So I mean that sounds nice and all, but at the same time, let's say you're stuck at your in-laws or whatever, and now you're stuck in a conversation you don't want to be in. Maybe you're better off
I
if you
tell you
had a
what,
race to put on.
I follow a lot of the Cup drivers on Facebook, and for some reason, they all go to the Bahamas. For some reason, like Bahamas is the go-to place for these NASCAR drivers. I guess it's not that far from North Carolina, I guess, and I don't know. It just seemed like they all end up in the Bahamas. A lot of them were in the Bahamas vacationing, and good for me. I mean, they do need a break, so then they got to take a break every once in a while. So it might as well be Easter weekend.
And they have a big cluster F of a race coming up next weekend, so maybe it's good to have a little break before that.
Yeah, so NASCAR moves to Talladega. Their big race at Talladega is this weekend. I like Talladega. I love it. I think it's a great race. It's a little bit better than Daytona because the track is a touch bigger and a little bit wider. It's a great race at Talladega. Plus, we got that new restrictor plate they're doing. They're not calling it a restrictor plate. They're calling it a tapered spacer. So we'll see how that works. I also like this type of racing, restrictor plate racing, because some of the smaller teams run good at it's a big equalizer. So we'll see if the small teams can still run competitively with the big teams with the tapered spacer.
Oh, sorry, Scott. I was going to say the most important thing about Talladega weekend is that we're going to be doing another live show at the River Rock in Brick.
Right. It's sponsored by Jeff Lane and his race team. They're sponsored by River Rock, and just like the Daytona 500 party, same deal.
Bring some cars out. Yeah, there'll be race cars on display.
Some race cars out. Probably be more race cars than the Daytona race because a lot of more people are done now. And then, if you have a good Saturday night, your stuff's already loaded up. You can just take it over there. Jeff's actually looking for race cars. So if anybody wants to bring their race car to River Rock on Sunday after racing well on Saturday, you're more than welcome to. Just get a hold of Jeff Lane, and he'll set it up for you. Just bring your car over. Just park them in the parking lot in front of the bar. It's good exposure for your sponsors. It's good to hang out with a good group of people and have some fun. Jeff does a great job with all the giveaways and stuff. It's going to be fun. Come check it out. If you're not doing it on Sunday, come watch the races with us. We'll be there with our podcast. We always look for guests. If you're a racer or even a fan of the show and you want to be a guest on an RPM podcast, you're more than welcome to come sit with us for a little while and talk. We always have an extra headset available, and you can just come sit with us and we'll interview you. That's going to be a lot of fun. What time was it? We're going to start the show around noontime over there, Josh?
12:30, I think, like we normally do, and then we'll lead up right to the race, and we'll go from there, and as long as nobody yells at us.
So just get through the NASCAR real quick because we don't have much to talk about. I mean, the Xfinity's racing, the Cup's racing, ARC is also racing Talladega this time around too.
Oh, good.
The trucks the trucks are still off. One quick thing we didn't touch on last time was Jimmy Johnson completed in the Boston Marathon. I tell you what, he got a lot of exposure. That's good exposure for NASCAR. And he actually ran a good time and everything. It looked like he really enjoyed it, and it was good to see one of our stars in our sport branch out and do another sport. And it seems like he really liked it and proves that he's in great shape. I mean,
they said he qualified for next year with his time, so that's really good.
Wow.
I guess if you do it in a certain time, you're qualified for next year.
Yeah, because they know you take it serious and you're a serious runner.
Yeah.
Well, that just is another good thing to show that race car drivers are athletes. I know there's a lot of people seem to think that they aren't. They just sit and drive. It's not like driving on the Parkway or the Turnpike for a couple hours. It's a lot more physical than that. And
I was hoping we'd have the entry list out for Talladega because I always like looking at Talladega's entry list. You always get a few guys that don't race the full schedule, jump in and do the stuff. It usually comes out on Tuesday, Josh, but you can look and see if you can find it. I looked earlier, I couldn't find it. Yeah, I always like to see if like Tommy Baldwin has a car entered. He usually enters the restrictor plate races. Um, like Brendan Gaughan, he runs those four super speedway races, and I always he always runs well. You always have a few names in there you haven't seen in a while. They dust themselves off and come out to the restrictor plate races for the one simple reason they feel like they have a shot. You get a good push at the end of the race. You miss the big one. There's only 10 cars left. You got a shot at winning that race. Everybody has a shot at winning that race,
oh
a
yeah,
legitimate in that race. So I always like, and it's weird too. Even going back to before the restrict plate, even like Daytona, I remember like seeing guys like Rick Mast with their own car like almost win the Daytona 500. I love watching those big truck races because there's always somebody that's not supposed to be up front doing well, and I always pull for those guys. And hopefully Talladega we have something like that
I
again.
mean, that's really how Trevor Bayne got that win. I mean, nothing against the Wood brothers, but they, they weren't a top contending team. He drafted well.
Yeah,
I mean, he played well with the others and was in the right spot at the end.
and yeah, Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon all weekend was drafting with him. He just said his car hooked up good with that 21 car, and it made his car faster. So Jeff Gordon pretty much pushed him all day, and he won the race. Speaking of Trevor Bayne, I was reading an article on Trevor, and he's looking like he's done with racing. He can't find a ride and all that stuff. And he's talking about opening up a coffee shop in the Mooresville area. So he might go from winning the Daytona 500 to making coffee.
That'd be the bane of his existence.
I tell you what, he's got a little brother or something racing super late models. I've been seeing his name pop up in the super late model stuff. So I keep an eye on him too with the super late model stuff. And maybe who knows? Maybe Trevor will go back to late model racing, which is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, not that it's necessarily a career for you, Scott, but I mean, you found a division that works for you and your budget, and you can race consistently, and you can still go out and have fun and do the other stuff. So, I mean, even if it's not going to necessarily fully pay the bills, if you can do some other stuff and make it work, as long as you're still out there racing and supporting the sport, I think it's absolutely fine.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm not seeing anything yet. There's a video for the full schedule, but I don't want a video because I don't have time for that. So, yeah. Beyond that, yeah, we'll have to see if that comes out tomorrow, and we'll update it accordingly. So hopefully we'll see everybody, or everybody come out and join us at the River Rock. Should be a good show. Still putting some final touches together, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun. They have great food. That video wall is still freaking awesome, and I mean the race is on almost every TV there, so um, yeah, it's a good time for everybody. So definitely don't miss it. Even if you come out just for a few laps and stop and say hi, have a beer and whatever, it's worth it. Um, let's see. Other NASCAR news. Just coming out today was Dale Jr.'s mother passed away after a battle with cancer. I
Yeah, she
didn't.
was young too. She was only 65 years old, man.
Wow.
It's too young to pass away. It's a shame. And did you know what type of cancer she had, Josh? I know they were keeping it quiet there for a while.
I didn't get to look that far. I mean, I got home late today, so I didn't get a chance to look into it. Uh, so as we find out more, I'll update
Tell you
everybody.
what, she was a pretty lady too. I've seen pictures of her, man. I can't believe how much her and Kelly Earnhardt look alike. She worked at Junior Motorsports also. She's been at Junior Motorsports since Kelly and Dale opened Junior Motorsports. So she was definitely part of the family and family racing. Um, she had a different last name, right? What was her? Brenda Jackson was her name.
Yes, Brenda Jackson.
So,
Uh,
rest in peace, Brenda Jackson. It's a shame, man. 65 is too young. You raised two great kids that are involved in racing, and we thank you for that. And rest in peace, Brenda.
Yeah, I'm looking. It just says died of cancer. They didn't. Nothing seems to be specifying. At least what I'm looking at. Um, so again, if I find out more, I'll let you know. Um, anyway, moving on from that, we Scott, you mentioned New Egypt got their racing in.
Let's talk about Mahoney Valley. I'm actually looking their stuff up now.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
Mahoney Valley was another area racetrack that was able to get their racing in. And it was pretty cool. Because Wall Stadium was closed, a couple of our sportsman drivers did go up there and race with Mahoney Valley. They did put a thing out welcoming the Wall Stadium sportsman cars to come race with their crate division up there, and they could use their own Wall Stadium tires and everything like that, so they didn't have to buy tires or anything like that. One of the guys you like and that are friendly with was Jonathan Luray. He went up there.
mhm.
He actually won his heat race, started on the pole in the race itself. He had a good run too. He hung up front for a long time, and I'm going to tell you in a second where he finished. Um, Jonathan, he finished third. So he started first and he finished third. I think he was up for. It was a 25 lapper. I almost want to say he was in the lead to like lap 22 or 23.
It's still a good race.
Yeah, so it's so cool that he went and did something else and went and tried a different racetrack. And that's one thing cool about Wall Stadium having a couple of weeks off. You can run and go do something else like that. So the sportsman mod race, it's a new division up there. It's the only second year that they had that division going on up there. They only had 9 cars, which is still good. I mean, you can have the track small. You can have a race with 9 cars. That's fine. Kyle Stroll won the race. Roger Koss, he finished second, and that's high in what Wall Stadium there. Other than Roger does race, he races Mahoney and Wall Stadium. He was driving Harry Reid's 55 crate car that Harry put together.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know how that deal came together. That was pretty cool. So he was driving. It was pretty weird seeing one of Harry Reid's 55s out there in the sportsman division out there. But what Harry did over the winter, a lot of people know Harry Reid is a longtime modified campaigner at Wall Stadium. He had an extra car. Steven wanted to get a new Troyer, so they bought a new Troyer. And they still had the family-built, home-built RTE race chassis car that Harry designed and built himself. And he had a couple crew guys that were talking about buying their own race car. And, of course, Harry didn't want to lose them as help in the garage during the week and at the track Saturday. So Harry made him a deal. Hey, you guys keep helping me in my car. Let's get a crate motor. We got this other car sitting over in the corner. Let's put a crate motor in it, and I'll let you guys drive it. You guys can take turns driving it and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool that Harry's doing that. And I guess he talked to Roger Koss, and because I know they pit next to each other at Wall Stadium. And Roger runs good at Mahoney Valley. He really does. And it was pretty cool to see Roger go up there with Harry's crate car and finish second with it.
I think he ran that same car opening night at Wall in the sportsman division, because I know Reed wasn't in it.
No, it was one of Harry's crew guys.
Oh,
he's got he's got 2 crew guys that want to try racing firsthand. So Harry let
so it was one of them. Okay, yeah, I knew it was a different name. I didn't remember the name.
Yeah. Now it's 2 of Harry's crew guys.
Okay.
Are trying out racing in the driver's seat, and Harry put a little deal together for them to race. Kind of like a thank you for them helping with the modified and coming to the shop every night and stuff like that. But Harry does stress the car is for sale. That's another reason why they put it together. Harry figures if he puts a crate motor in and makes it turnkey, the car runs pretty good. Maybe they can sell it that way, because it was sitting there and not selling. He was trying to sell it without a motor and stuff, and it wasn't selling. It's a beautiful race car. If you ever go look at it, the workmanship's second to none. Roger proved that it's a good Mahoney Valley car, and Steven won a ton of races with it at Wall Stadium. It was Kyle Stroll, Roger Koss, Jonathan Ray, Joe King Jr. Joe King Jr. is another guy that raced Wall Stadium, but now he's making Mahoney Valley his home. Lauren Arthurfer, which is a name that's been in racing forever at Mahoney. BJ Wambolt, the Wambolt's been racing at Mahoney Valley forever. Mike Pollock, Cassidy Adamos, and Danielle Paulus, which is I think it's we'd have to ask Ted Groh, but Paulus is Earl Paulus's wife or sister or something like that.
Okay.
She's racing in the crate division too, and sometimes Earl races in the crate division too, but he didn't on this night. A little bit about the modified feature. It was a 35 lapper, which is their normal night of racing, just a 35 lapper. It goes pretty quick up there because the track's so small, and they knock off like 9-second laps. Like, they really fly around that track. I mean, it's a constant circle. It really looks like a dog chasing his tail when you watch the races there. But it was won by Bobby Jones. Earl Pauls was second. Josh Shearer, Anthony Cecily was fourth. So it's looking like doing all the racing up there because he finished 5th opening night up there. Gene Bowers was 5th. Kyle Stroll was 6th. Todd Bear was 7th. Brian DeFebo was 8th. Austin Beers was 9th. Kevin Rex Jr. was 10th. John Markovic was 11th. Terry Markovic was 12th. Jacob Kersetter was 13th. Ron Herring Jr. was 14th. And 15th was Heath Metziger. Did not start with Scott Adams, man. He crashed bad, and I think it was hot laps. That car was destroyed. I mean, the whole right front was ripped off. It looks like the rear was knocked out of it. The nerf bar was ripped off it. I think it was on. I think someone said it was on the first lap, like when they took the green or something like that. Scott Adams is a great guy. I mean, he does a lot for racing with his lettering business and vinyl wraps and all that stuff and signs. It's a shame that Scott's having a tough start to his season. Hopefully, he gets everything fixed up and gets back out there. They had a late model feature. It was a 25 lapper. Once again, they struggle for late models just like we do, Josh. I mean, we only had 6 opening night. They're showing they only had 9 here.
Okay.
I love the late models. They're beautiful race cars. But like Ted was saying, he's like, they're the same cost as a modified. So a lot of guys just say, well, I'll just run a modified if it costs the same, you know. So they did have a late model race. It was a 25 lapper. It was won by Mike Wentz. Second was Mike Sweeney. Third was Brock Brown. Fourth was Frankie Althouse. 5 was Jeremy Miller. 6 was Samantha Osborne. Kenny Hine was 7th. Avery Offifer was 8th. And Gino Staggerwalt was 9th. Just like anything else, they had a street stock feature. They only start 20 cars there because the track is so small. So there was a couple guys that didn't qualify. They had 22 cars on hand. The 2 cars that didn't qualify were Ronald Herman and Cody Getz. Okay. And then they had 20 starters. They run a 30 lapper for the street stocks. I'm just going to give you the top 5 on them. I'm not going to run down all 20. But it was won by Mark Dasher. Second was Billy Hanera. 3 was Randy Ahern. 4th was Mark Martini, and 5th was Jill Long. I'm telling you, there's a lot of women in racing now. You find a girl racer in every division now, which is really cool. Because when I was a kid, you never seen women race, you know.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're getting involved. They have a Pro 4 feature, which is like Pinos and stuff like that, which is pretty cool. They have a Pro 4 division, which is 4 zones, and then they have a hobby stock, and they're a little more stocked, you know. The Pro 4 feature, they had 7 cars. It was won by Bobby Kilber Sr. Randy Schaefer was 2nd. Tyler Stangl was 3rd. Tucker Muffley was 4th. Jake Kibler was 5th. Matt Clark was 6th, and Jeremy Guerrero was 7th.
Those are some real racing names. What was the muffler? What?
Yeah, Muffley. It's Muffley. Tucker Muffley. Yeah, that's
Tucker
a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's up there with Lake Speed.
The hobby stock feature, they had 18 cars. Great little turnout for them. There were 25 laps. It was won by Cody Bohm. 2nd, Al Arthurfer. So that's 3 Arthurfers we've seen. One in 3 different divisions. So that's a big family up there. I mean, even when me and Tim were kids, we knew Lauren Arthurfer. He used to even come to Flemington and race every once in a while. 3rd was Devin Schmidt. 4th was Travis Renee Solomon. 5th was Trisha Conley. 6th was Sean Kistler. 7th was Jacob Boehm. 8th was Tyler Schmidt. 9th was Philip Sabatini. 10 was Darrell Rex. I'll just give you the top 10 there. So that was a good night of racing at Mahoning Valley. They race again April 27th at 6 p.m. They're going to have the mods, late model street stocks, DMs, the dirt modifieds, Pro 4s, and hobby stocks. And then April 28th, which is pretty cool, something they're doing this year, at 1:30 p.m. they're doing a Mahoning Valley / Evergreen Raceway small car enduro series on Sunday. Plus, they're going to have the All-Star Slingshots there with them and the East Coast TQs. It's only $10 to get in. If you're in the area and you want to watch some enduro racing, go check it out. I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping they were going to have the 8 cylinders too, but they're only having the 4 cylinders.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it'd be cool if they had it is pretty cool that they're Evergreen and Mahoning Valley are working together for the enduro series. They're having 4 races at Mahoning Valley and 4 at Evergreen, and it's a combined points thing. I really wish they would do it with the 8 cylinders too. You might as well. You're there anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So maybe next year they'll include the 8 cylinders in with that, and it's another place I can go race.
I'd
Believe it or
like to
not,
see.
Josh, all the racing I ever done, even all the I've raced at Pocono at the 3/4 mile track. I raced at Evergreen. Now getting into dirt, I race at Grandview and Big Diamond. So I'm hitting all the tracks on this side of Pennsylvania. The one track I've never raced at, believe it or not, is Mahoning Valley. I've never
Really?
raced there, and I've only gone there a couple of times. Um, we had a race one time at Mountain Speedway in Enduro on a Sunday, and it was during the day, or it was on a Saturday during the day, and they were racing at Mahoning Valley that night. And I actually won the championship and the race at Mountain Speedway. So I said, man, I'm in a good mood. I don't want to go home. Let's go to Mahoney because it's on the way home. So, and Jerry Koning with the '01 factory stock, he was out there racing the Enduro. I said, Jerry, you feel like going back to Long Island now? You feel like doing something? And he's like, oh, I'll do something. Let's go do something. I said, I'm going to hit Mahoney Valley on the way home and watch the races. So me, my uncle, Peg Koning, Jerry's wife, and Jerry, we went to Mahoney Valley and sat in the grandstands and watched the races. I only been there 2 or 3 times to watch the races
Wow.
too.
They put on a
So
good show, you think?
they put on a great show. Plus, it's a small track, and you're right there. Like the action's right in front of you. It's almost being like at a hockey rink, where it's right in front of you.
Okay.
It's a cool little setup. I don't really care for the pits though. The pits are a little tough because it's on the side of a hill. So it's like if you're pitted up top, you got to bring your stuff down there. This way, if you get a flat, you got to change it and all that stuff. But no, the racing's good. The pits are a little tough for the crew guys. It's a lot of you need a pit cart there. There's a lot of lugging stuff up and down the hill.
Right.
But they do the best they can with the landscape they have. It's actually it's a nice little track. Like when you walk in, they got like a little fountain, like it's all landscape nice and nice concession stands and stuff like that. It's a cool little track to go to and check out.
No giant hill that you have to drive down, burning up your brakes.
No, it's on a regular highway. Yeah.
I do want to mention, speaking of Mahoning, the ATQ MRA started their season there with a pretty good race.
They don't have the results listed.
I don't have a regular results. I do see that it came down to a photo finish at the end, and Buddy Slode got the win.
I know the Mullins were up there. I know Ronnie and his son were racing up there, and I think his son actually won his heat race or something, or started on the pole or something like that.
So second was Joey Bailey, who's been on the show before. So Buddy Slode barely got Joey Bailey by 0.007 seconds. That's pretty darn close. They put on a good show.
Just gave them both trophies at that point. and really, something like that, they really need to check the transponders to see where they're mounted on the cars. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A lot of the 4-cylinder guys at Wall have them like mounted like through the floor and stuff, and I saw that a lot in enduros. But mine's back behind the rear axle on my car.
Yeah, well, that's the way the enduros always want you to mount your transponder. They want you to cut like 3 slices in your floorboard and then pop it up, and then you put your transponder right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of tracks want you to I think the rule's like 18 inches behind your rear end or something like that. But at Wall Stadium, they actually have the photo finish right at the finish line, and they go by that and not the transponder because your transponder can be mounted in different places. Me and Joe Monjo a couple of years back, we had a photo finish, and his transponder actually clicked on first, and he was arguing the fact that he won because that's what it said on the computer, and they showed us the photo finish, and that was a good, like his front bumper was at my right front wheel, and then I said, Joe, where's your transponder mounted? And he looked where his was mounted, and then I showed him where I was mounted. I said, well, there's your difference right there. You know what I'm saying? So, but I don't blame Joe for arguing. You're looking at your phone; it shows you the winner. You know what I'm saying? You want to be the winner, So, but then they came down with the picture from the tower of the line, which is cool. Wall Stadium has that camera right on the line for the photo finishes, so that was pretty cool.
Oh, and I did want to mention, speaking of Monjo, was it Joe's mother or grandma?
Father. Yeah,
father,
Joe and Rich's father, which would be Shannon's grandfather, passed away. Yeah, he was. He's been battling some health issues. I think he was well into his 80s, 85 or 86. I think Shannon told me.
You want to talk about a racing family? I mean, those guys are.
They're a big racing family. Yeah, with Joe and Rich, which are brothers, and then Shannon is Joe's nephew and Rich's son. They've been, racing in New Jersey forever, and our thoughts are with the Monjo family as they're dealing with the passing of Shannon's grandfather and Rich and Joe's father. We're thinking about you guys. Here, you want to move the New Egypt Speedway now?
Yeah, we can do that.
I know
So
there's some.
yeah, there's a little drama going on.
Yeah.
Somebody saw it. So the article that I have from New Egypt's website is that Matt Stengel got the win in the modified feature. And the crate modified feature was won by Eric Palmer, and the wingless sprint cars, Rich Meller got the win there. Joe Gary Sr. Got the checkered or the win in the four-cylinder race, and the rookie sportsman race was won by Anthony Tramontana Jr. Um, so now that said, Matt Stengel being because everybody is obsessed with modifieds, that's the first name that shows up and everything else. Now apparently,
And he's a young kid. Like he's moving up through the ranks. Like started out as in the rookie division, in the crate division, sportsman. Now he's running modifieds. I mean, the kid can really drive. I know they buy some of their equipment off of Jimmy, and I know Jimmy Blewett helps them out a lot. He's good friends with the Stangles, and they run a Martino engine and all that stuff. But unfortunately, he had some trouble in tech.
yeah. Now, Scott, you had sent something. I guess was that his father that posted?
Yeah, his father posted something on Facebook explaining what happened, and he's not happy about it either.
Oh yeah, no. He said he's not going to lay down. And he's going to uncover all the BS that goes on there, and which I get. You know, he's emotional and all that. So I mean,
Well, they put a lot into it. I mean, they really do. They're a hardworking family. They own like a landscape, like a big landscape business. I actually done some towing for them.
mhm.
When they do the snow plow and stuff, they actually had a truck. Listen how hard working this family is. They had a transmission blow up in one of their trucks during a snowstorm. They called Jimmy Blewett. Jimmy had a truck in the junkyard with the same transmission. They paid me like to tow it from Blewett's out to them in like the middle of the night in a snowstorm. They changed pulled the transmission out of that truck and put it back in their truck um, that night to go keep snow plowing. That's how hard they work, you know.
That's
So
ridiculous. I mean, I've had last minute changes, but not in the same night. uh,
yeah, so they're a
but
very hard family. They definitely earn their money to go racing, and when something like this happens to them, it's a shame, you know.
yeah, no, I'm curious because it didn't say exactly what the DQ was for. I'm looking to see if there's anything on that, but I know in his
Yeah, in his rant on Facebook, he was saying something about some type of 4 pound weight on his left rear tire
a four
or
pound
rim.
collar in the left rear that they considered ballast. Or that, well,
Okay.
he says they, I guess, meaning the track, and the alcohol passed all the tests, referring to the fuel. Um, and I don't. So I mean, if
But
that,
he's saying saying in his opinion it passed, but it also sounded like they disqualified him for the fuel also, even though
yeah,
it did pass.
yeah. So I'm not sure. He said you'll read most of it in AARN. So.
Yeah, so I guess we'll wait till Wednesday until we get the racing paper and read more about it.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see where it goes. I mean, it's a shame, but at the same time, the drama will get some attention, and maybe it'll, depending on how it turns out, if there is anything fishy going on, hopefully it'll get sorted out. Uh, you know,
But another thing is too, I just want to give some people some pointers too. I mean, I know they're mad. It's hard to swallow because you work so hard, and when you get DQ'd over something so simple, it's bad. But the best way to handle that is make the changes they want and come back and win again. You know what I'm saying? Like, just don't say, "Oh, I'm going somewhere else. Screw that place." Get all mad and go back and win again. That's the way. That's the best way of handling something like that.
well, Scott, now I've never seen you get DQ'd, but I do remember that a few years ago you had gotten, was it 3 or 5 wins or something like that? So they made you add weight to your car.
Yeah, they made me add 100 pounds, and I did. I added the 100 pounds, and I went back and won. And that's what that's why I had the stock trunk lid with the hinges and the stock floor, all that stuff. Uh, they told me I had to, the bad thing about that is they told me I had to add 100 pounds. But my car we have to weigh 3,300, but my car was already 3,340. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll be 3,400. I'll add 60 pounds. They're like, no, you got to be 3,440. You got to add 100 pounds. I'm like, no, I got to add 100 pounds over the rule. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that was an argument there. Then I'm like, well, you know what? Since these are grocery getter cars, I'm just going to fill the trunk up with like 100 pounds of watermelons. And they're like, no, you can't do that. It's got to be lead. It's got to be mounted correctly and all this stuff.
Uh, yeah, but I do remember you having to go through that. I don't want to call it a penalty because it's not like you did anything wrong.
Yeah,
But
I
it
know.
was something that they were trying to do
It
to
does
level
state in
the
the
field.
rules that that's like a beginner's division or not a novice division, but like a affordable division. If you get over competitively, they have the right to slow you down.
Yeah, and that was
So they
stated in the
did.
rules, so it wasn't that it was so much a surprise.
Right.
But that was what happened. But then, like you said, you came back and you won again anyway. So
Yeah, I want to get anyway.
so
Then they
well.
added another 50 pounds. Got to get more watermelons.
But yeah,
All right, so that touches on New Egypt a little bit. Paul Harwick made his return to dirt racing too. I think Paul finished 4th or 5th in the four cylinders. He raced a 4-cylinder car there. So it was good to see Paul back doing some weekly racing. I know he took some time off to go race with his son and focus on his son more. So it's good to see Paul get a chance to get back in the seat and do some racing himself. I thought that was really cool that he was there with a 4-cylinder racing. I know Brian Osborne, because there wasn't racing at Wall Stadium, he took a 4-cylinder over there and did some racing. I think he finished 5th or 6th. TJ Graves was over there. He was right. He finished 4th. I think he finished right in front of Paul. So it's pretty cool that our 4-cylinder guys will go over there and try to dirt race in and stuff like that. And it's cool that New Egypt is letting the 4-cylinders race dirt over there. So it was good to see some Wall Stadium people over there. They had a great crowd there too, because that's what does happen when Wall's not racing and New Egypt's racing. A lot of the asphalt guys are like, hey man, this is our chance to go watch some dirt racing. There was a lot of fans in the stands from Wall Stadium. And it happens the other way too. Sometimes when New Egypt isn't racing or rains out and Wall is racing, we get a lot of the dirt people over there too. So it's pretty cool that the tracks are so close that we can share fans and cars and stuff like that. And it's a great night racing for New Egypt. I'm glad they had a great night. It's unfortunate what happened to the Stangl family, though. Hopefully they can get that worked out and the Stangles keep racing there. Well, Tim, you haven't said much this show, so let's get on to your little adventure. You Friday morning, you left to go down to North Carolina. You made the 10-hour or 11-hour trip down there. You made it to Bowman Gray on Saturday night to see some exciting racing. So what did you say?
Well, yeah, I wasn't planning on going down there at all. One of my buddies, and we've talked about Gary Gary's a well-known race chaser in New Jersey, and he posted on his Facebook page that he wanted to go to Bowman Gray. He was asking questions, so we got texting back and forth, and I was like, it'd just be easier if I go with you. So we went down there. We traveled Friday night. We got a hotel room right into North Carolina. Then from there we went to Hot Pocket's house, and we hung out there. And we actually left Thursday night, and we went there Friday morning. We got to Hot Pockets on Friday morning. Spent Friday there with him and slept at his house. Got up Saturday morning, and it was raining Saturday morning. It was on and off, on and off. And we got over to the track early, about, 3 o'clock we got there. And it rained a little bit, and it wasn't really raining when they called it. We saw an official walking around the parking lot, and about 2 minutes later, they canceled it. I guess they didn't have the crowd that they wanted to have for the race, so they canceled it. There's a lot of people there, don't get me wrong, but not a lot of people in their aspect of what they wanted for the grandstands to be.
Did you even make it into the track to watch practice or anything like that? Or
Gary went in for practice. I stayed in the car.
Yeah.
He's never. I've been there before, so he's never been there before. So he did get to see cars go
That's
around
cool.
on
You
the
got
truck.
inside and got to see the track and see some cars go around the track.
So wait a second. Now, did the people that were in the grandstands, they already paid?
No, apparently you can go in the grandstands there for free.
For practice?
For practice, and then they chase everybody out, and then you pay to get in after that.
Okay, all right, we've seen that before. But, so, there were people there, but there weren't enough, so they said, screw it?
That's my opinion, yeah.
Okay.
There just wasn't enough I think there was enough there to make Wall Stadium happy, but they're used to getting 15,000 people there,
I don't
So
know.
But you
nowhere
know
near.
what? Nowadays too, like you said, the track manager looked around and said, "And there ain't many cars in the parking lot. Let's go ahead and cancel." Nowadays, people are waiting on home on their computer, waiting to see what's going on. And I'm sure if they would have raced, people would have started flooding in over there.
I
But
agree.
people might stay home because the weather's so iffy. You never know. It's just a shame that Tim made the trip all the way down there, watched a little racing, and they got rained out. But I tell you what, I was going on Facebook. There was a lot of people from out of state going down there. There was like guys from like Ohio going down there, and Michigan. Like a lot of people were traveling down there. It was a 200 lapper, right, Tim, for the modifieds? It was a big race, right?
Yeah, it was their I guess they do that's like their Daytona 500. They start off with their
With the big
biggest
race,
race.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the
do you
pits
think
were
they
full.
should have made Sunday a rain date for that?
Yeah, well, that's Easter.
It was
We're going with the
Easter.
whole Easter thing.
Yeah, but race fans, they would go.
Yeah. I would have.
I mean,
Yeah, it would have been a
because we don't see rain dates often. I mean, there are some here and there, but usually they'll just if it gets rained out, oh, the factory stocks, your makeup race date is whatever, and you have a double
Yeah.
feature. Um, do you think they should make more rain dates?
Yeah,
Like,
I do.
I think on the average they should, maybe not so much on Easter, but if it's just a regular Sunday for sure. Yeah.
okay.
Did you do anything else while you were in the area, Tim? Any roadside attractions? Did you
Well, yeah,
stop
like I
anywhere
said,
else?
we stopped at Kyle Busch Motorsports. We stopped at GoPro Motorplex. I showed Gary where the lake was, the Lake Norman. He wanted to see that because that's big down there. And then we
Did you?
spent it.
And Gary's also a big fisher too, so there's a lot of fishing going on down
Oh
there
yeah,
at Lake Norman. Did you go inside Kyle Busch Motorsports?
no, it was closed.
It was closed.
Yeah. And then we met up at Hot Pockets and we had dinner with him, and then some of our friends came over there and hung out at night. And I did talk to Sam on the phone. We were going to get together Saturday morning, and that never happened. And then I was supposed to see those guys at the race, but it never panned out. We did go to Kermit's Hot Dogs. I did RPM research on Kermit's Hot Dogs down
Ooh.
there.
You didn't have any pizza with liver mush on it while you were down there?
They do sell liver mush at Kermit's, but I wasn't about to try that to sit in the grandstands and then drive 11 hours home. So,
Oh.
Anybody that's ever been to Berman Gray, Kermit's is like, it's a tradition to go there before the races. And I've been there before, obviously, but Gary never been there, so we went there. And I'll post a video about that place tomorrow online, so people know what I'm talking about. And they have their famous hot dog. All the way hot dog is hot dog on a toasted bun with mustard, onions, and chili, and coleslaw.
Damn, that's a lot on a hot dog.
But it was good. I had two of them.
I wouldn't do the onions, but that's just me.
And then we went and sat in the parking lot and watched it, drizzle for a little bit, and then it cleared up. And as soon as it cleared up, they called it.
I did see a lot of. I saw the post on Facebook, and a lot of people were really letting the track have it because, like, oh, now that the radar's clear, you're going to cancel it.
Well, that's what my brother was saying too. There's some people that were all set up to tailgate, and they stayed in tailgated anyway. 9, 10 o'clock, they're still in the parking lot tailgate, and they were saying it never rained. So they probably could have got it in.
Yeah, I mean, it might have taken a little bit of drawing on the track, but that was about it. Tim, you also sent something about Myrtle Beach Speedway, their tunnel. There's some photos that it turned into it looks like a lock or
Yeah. That was crazy.
So flooded. It was flooded right up to the racetrack. It had to be 8 to 9 foot of water because you figure that tunnel's got to be 8 or 9 foot to let cars pass underneath it. It was filled right up to the top.
I mean, there's a guy there with a fishing pole going at it. They're saying that it's stocked and ready for fishing. But,
yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And was that just from the rain?
That's what it said. Yeah.
I mean, you would think something else must have let go, or wow. Yeah, to get that much water.
Another thing we got going on this weekend is the Sunday Series racing, and we had a message from Tom and Robin Irvin. They want us to talk a little bit about the Sunday Series, which my brother and nieces are a big part of. So I guess it's opening day for them this Sunday, Tim.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it says their 2019 opening day will be April 28th, which is this Sunday. Pit gates open at 10 a.m. with 2 rounds of practice starting at 11. Heat races starting around noon with a short intermission before the features. So basically the same way a Saturday night program would go. And they're saying it should be over in time for dinner, which is important. So that way even those guys can come out to River Rock. Um, anyway. Um, there's no. It's free admission if you want to go and watch the Sunday series in the grandstands. You have to pay if you want to go in the pits, but yeah. And the snack stand's usually open. So I mean, it's a good setup, and you get some. It's pretty competitive racing with these kids. You have kid carts, Sportsman 1 and Sportsman 2, champ carts, junior champ cart gold, senior flathead champ cart, micro stock, micro modified. Um, Jeez. Uh, they also accommodate other divisions. If you have three or more vehicles of that division, like
They'll race you.
y-
I like that rule. You can show up with 3 of anything, and they'll race you. That's pretty cool. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
So they have Bandoleros, Junior Legend cars, Senior Legend cars, unlimited flat carts, four-cylinder super modifieds, which I have not seen in I can't tell you how many years at the track, and
Nah,
they'll run them on
that
the
faded
banking.
away, and they were pretty cool. I liked them. It was like a little club some guys started, and they built a handful of them. They were doing pretty well with it, and all of a sudden they faded away to nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Tim, are you going to be there Sunday, or you're going to be at River Rock, or you're going to be at the track?
Unfortunately, I'll be at Stafford.
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
that's right. Yeah, he's spotting at Stafford for Eric Goodale.
Okay, I see how it is. Spotting before talking on the podcast.
Wow, work. Yeah, got
uh,
Speaking of Stafford, man, they got one heck of a race weekend up there. They got everything that races in New England scheduled for that weekend. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up there. That's the Spring Sizzler. I mean, that's a classic race. That's as popular as the Turkey Derby is down here. Spring Sizzler has been going on for many, many, many years. If you're up in that area, definitely go check out that race weekend. That's a big race weekend up there, and hopefully they have good weather up there and it goes off good. And I'm sure that race is on Fans Choice TV again and all that stuff.
oh, that
yeah.
that
They put
Tim.
out this lineup today. The modifieds have a full field. Unfortunately, what do you call it's not on there. The Kraus kid's not on there.
Huh.
Oh,
That's
really?
yeah.
Tim, so, mentioning the Fans Choice deal, I saw a few people saying that because the cameras were at Bowman Gray, that was another factor in them canceling because they weren't getting the crowd because people were going to watch it online.
Hey, I disagree with that. We've had that conversation
Mhm.
before. I think fans' choice has helped our racing, not hurt it. Since they've been covering it, we've had packed houses everywhere we've gone. I think it's helped. It made it exciting again, so people are coming out.
Okay.
I,
So I'm wondering if they
And
have to.
also this weekend at Wall Stadium is our big fan fest, on track pit party they call it. So get there early this weekend. From 4:30 to 5:30, they bring all the race cars from all the divisions out on the racetrack, and they invite all the fans to come down on the racetrack. This way they can walk on the racetrack, see the banking, check it out. And all the race teams do a great job giving giveaways out, hands out. It's almost like trick or treating on Halloween. People giving out candy. We give out hero cards and pictures and stickers and stuff like that. So definitely try to get to the track early this Saturday, between 4:30 and 5:30 for the on track pit party. It's always a great time.
Yeah, I love when the kids will come down with like the wall program or something, and they get autographs of the drivers and things like that
Yeah,
too,
they
which is.
bring checker flags down, and
Mhm.
some people bring like old racing tires, and you got to autograph that, and there's people's T-shirts. It's really a great time, The race cars, because it's still early in the year, all the race cars are beautiful looking right now. Definitely come check it out. 4:30 to 5:30 at Wall Stadium this Saturday.
Yeah, yeah, definitely get there early for that. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about real quick because I mean, obviously, with a lot of not much racing happening over the weekend, so we don't have as much to talk about. But there was a video that Ted Groh shared. It was from Southern National Motorsports Park.
Yeah, I
Um,
saw that they were fighting like on the front straightaway.
yeah, and it was after their bomber race, which looks like a four-cylinder division, just with a weird name. And yeah, just somebody was unhappy with somebody, and then they just get into a all-out fight, and then there's I don't know how many, what is it, 20 people end up on the front stretch, between
Yeah,
trying to stop it.
it's a little ridiculous. You got to remember, kids are there. Kids don't want to
Mm.
see that stuff. Try to control your emotions, and if you are going to fight, do it out back where no one can see you.
Yeah, but well, what was the promoter said? If you fight in my pits, I'll fine you $100. If you fight on my front stretch,
Front straightaway,
I'll pay you 100.
pay you $100. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, it gets
But
the
I mean, two guys pushing and shoving. But when it turns out into a brawl like that, when there's 10 people on 10 people, it gets a little carried away, and that
yeah.
gets scary for the kids. So you don't want to do that at a racetrack like that.
I especially when it's within the kids division or something like that. 'Cause I've seen a few of those in carts or whatever, and it's just that's embarrassing and frightening for the kids. I agree. Here, I don't think that it's warranted. If you have an argument, and you see some shouting, and like you said, a little push and shove or something like that. It keeps it exciting. The fans get excited, but yeah, I just over a race. I mean, if it was something like he intentionally T-boned somebody or something like in the driver's door, then you can be upset with him. But usually it's over a stupid move. Somebody didn't give somebody enough room, and then they got all
You know
pissed
what?
and upset.
I never thought about this, but a couple of weeks ago, I had me and Barry Holtz from over at B&B. Barry used to be
Hmm.
an official at the racetrack.
Yeah.
We went on a tow together. He rode out with me out towards Flemington to pick up something, and we got a couple hours in the truck to talk racing and stuff. And he was an official, and I never heard it explained like this, but now that he explained it to me like this, I understand it. Racing is like an adrenaline rush, just like getting drunk. Just like getting drunk. And some people, when they're drunk, they're either real happy, laughy, and fun, hugging you, or they're the opposite. They want to fight
Hmm.
because they're all pumped up. So he explained it the same way. He got to learn the people that were like a friendly drunk and a fighting drunk. It's no different when you got out of the race car. You're pumped up, and some people are like, yeah, like the Rooster comes to mind. That guy, he can flip 50 times down the front straightaway, and he could be blatantly taken out, and he won't even like raise a fist at the guy. He'll go and shake the guy's hand, and that was awesome, man. That was great racing, man. Oh man, I had a blast. Where other people want to, they win the race, and because you rubbed up on a little bit, they want to fight. So he explained to me, because it's an adrenaline rush, it's just like being drunk. Everybody handles it different, So obviously these two guys that were fighting on the front straightaway were people that get drunk and fight. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just
And
it's really.
like Scott, I've only ever seen you mad once at the
Oh
track.
really? I get mad.
I'm sure you. Well, I've seen you get annoyed, but I've only ever seen you verbally angry once.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah.
You know what? Because to tell you the truth, like I used to get mad a lot after the races,
Mhm.
and then I heard an interview with Richard Petty, and someone interviewed him said, we don't remember you really getting in fights or anything at the racetrack. He's like, you know why? Because we were in such a rush to get to the next race. That race is over. He's like, as soon as that race is over, it's over. It's time to move on to the next one. And I remembered that, and I kind of took that into my own race. And like, the race is over. If you got wrecked and you finished 11th, guess what? You can get in a fight in the pits afterwards. You're still going to finish 11th. Just move on to the next one. So that's kind of how I handle it now.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's fine to talk to somebody and discuss it and try to work things out.
I mean,
Or
yeah, you got to stick up for yourself. I mean, if someone wrecks you 2 weeks in a row, you better go over and say something, or it's going to be 3 weeks in a row.
yeah,
You got to nip it in the bud too. But like Richard Petty said, he's like, move on to the next one, get down the road to the next one. And a lot of times, because I'm so busy on my race schedule, I'm going to rush to get home because I got to unload the cars and load the dirt cars up, go race somewhere else on Sunday.
yeah.
On a side note, that Southern National Speedway, that's a beautiful racetrack. Have you ever been there, Scott?
No, but I can look it up in my book.
Yeah, that's a bit. It's like a mini cup track with all the grandstands around it and everything. And they were on financial hardship for a while. I'm just glad to see that they're still racing over there, and they're getting a little excitement.
That is a good point, Tim. Um,
All right, so I guess we move on to what have we learned.
All right, do you want to talk about that Mud Valley Speedway where it came back to life after 10 years?
Yeah, I didn't really read much about it, but supposedly there's a little dirt track called Mud Valley Speedway down in Kentucky, and they've been closed for 10 years, and they've been working on that track, cleaning it up, fixing it up, getting a race ready. And they actually had a video on YouTube. You can check it out, Mud Valley Speedway. They have a Facebook page, and the video is on there. They showed a racetrack on the racetrack first time in 10 years. So that was pretty cool
Yeah,
watching
it
that
was
car.
what, a dirt modified? I think it
I
was.
tell you what, it was one of those
IMCA
IMCA
modified.
style modified. I tell you what, that car had some motor because I was watching him cruising around. I'm like, hey, it's getting around pretty good. But I didn't realize he was just going slow. All of a sudden, he floors that thing, and that motor was screaming. I'm like, wow, that thing's got a motor in it, man.
Apparently, more to the story in that track. I guess that track has been closed for 10 years, like Scott said, but I guess it never really technically closed. The guy just kind of like didn't have races there anymore. And like these people just started like on their days off and Sunday would just all go over there and cut the grass, and they started to paint the grandstand and paint the fence. I mean, if you look around where the cars on the track, there's still a lot of work to be done there to make it, race ready. But they're
You know what's
getting
funny? I watched that video, and it did look like there wasn't much to that track from where that person was standing in that video. But then I went on their Facebook and looked at other pictures, like from the infield up towards the grandstands, and it's actually a pretty nice track. Like they have a nice wall on the front straightaway, and they are. I mean, there is a lot of bleachers missing, but there is a lot of ones fixed up there too.
That's good. That reminded me of the time that Wall Stadium was closed for that year, and me and Scott were lucky enough to go over. We were able to go over there for when they opened it back up. It was like a private thing, and we went over there. And I think Timmy Airy was the first car back on the track, if I remember
Okay.
correct. And it was kind of reminding me of that.
I tell you what, too, man. Wall Stadium was only closed for a year, and it's amazing how fast a track can go into ruins when they're not maintaining it. In a year, that track looked like it was closed for 10 years after a year. There was grass
Wow.
growing up in spots you never thought it would grow up, I mean, it got rough quick.
Yeah, and I mean lately or the past since ever since the Krauses have taken over, um, they they have like painting parties for painting the bleachers and repairing things like that. They've replaced telephone poles and they put in the whole all new guardrail, uh, and which quickly got beat up again coming off of four. Uh, but I mean
Uh,
that's the nature of the beast. But
I did look up Southern National Speedway real quick. Southern, it doesn't say much. It says Southern National Speedway, Kenley, North Carolina, 4/10 mile paved oval, 1993. They're present. But they do have a picture of it. Like Tim says, it is a beautiful racetrack. I don't know if you can see it here.
oh yeah,
Can you see
yeah,
that?
look at that. Wow.
I've
So,
been
yeah,
there.
it is.
Did it say what the
I've
banking
been there
is
for a
on that?
couple races.
Yeah, no, it doesn't say, but it looks like it's got some good banking. So it's all lit. The pits are in the infield, but it looks like the infield's real low, so you can still see the track from the grandstands
Wow, that's
above the
important.
holders that are in the infield. Yeah, and it definitely has parking around the outside of the track, like
Yeah,
tailgate parking, so you can back up and
that's
watch the race.
that's big in the South. A lot of
Yeah, it's
tracks
real
do
big in
that.
the South. Matter of fact, I raced at this place called Down East Motor Speedway in the South one time, and they had that parking around the racetrack, and I wrecked our local guy for the win. And as I was driving around the track, I was getting pelted with everything from beer cans, ice cubes, to soda cans, and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes that parking next to the track's not a good thing if you're an outsider and you win the race.
I,
Josh, did I ever tell you that story? It was
no.
dog food night there. I never told you that story. We went to this track called Down East Motor Speedway. It was a cool track, man. It was a tri-oval, fast, high banked. Same thing. Pit was in the infield, and I that was called the Tidewater region down there, and I was the champion in the Mid Atlantic region, and it was one of those deals we didn't have no races going on, and the Tidewater region was racing, so I went down there to race, and I wanted to try a different racetrack, and we walked over into the grandstands, and everybody's walking around with like these small 5-pound bags of dog food. I'm like, what are these people eat dog food here or something? So, but it was dog food night. There was some like Purina dog food factory or something, and it was their night, and they were giving away 5-pound bags of dog food. So everybody was walking around with the bags of dog food. Well, anyway, we go into the race, and I'm running second, and their local guy was leading, and I'm following him through lap traffic, and I was catching him. Well, we get up to this lap car. The leader went to the outside of him. So I went to go follow him around the outside. And for some reason, the leader just stopped. Like he was thought second of passing this guy on the outside. And when he stopped, I ran right in the back of him. He went to the wall and he wrecked pretty hard.
Oh.
And I ended up going on and winning the race. but I was getting booed, and they were throwing dog food at me
Oh
because
my
they had those bags of dog food, so they're all throwing dog food at me. Then when I pull into the pits, man, the other team's pit crew was throwing hammers at me and everything. So, I thought it was fight time, so I get to my trailer, I grab a crowbar and run down there, and they all kind of calmed down when I was seeing how big I was, and I was swinging a crowbar at them. So it was one of those crazy nights, it was a crazy night, but
Wow.
it was just funny. It was a funny story. I never had dog food thrown at me at a racetrack, but they were throwing everything at me. Then when I was going down the back straightaway, they're all parked along the back straightaway in their pickups and stuff. There was like ice cubes coming inside the truck and soda and beer. It was bad.
Oh my
What
God.
track was that?
It was called Down East Motor Speedway, but it was one of those tracks that had several different names. It was like you went down 95 and then you got on like 64 or something like that. And you went way east out by the water. It was close out to where the Gravedigger was from. Like
Kill Devil Hills.
Yeah, Kill Devil Hills or something like that. It was out that way. And I never really heard anything about that track much after that. I know it closed and then opened back up.
Was it Jeff Gordon that had all those cans or napkins or whatever?
No, didn't they throw seat cushions at him? Didn't they give seat cushions away that day at Talladega or something like that? And he won. They're all throwing the free seat cushions at him.
Something like that. Jeez. And then I remember at that Formula One race at Indy, the last one they had there when they had that tire debacle and only 6 cars started the race, and the fans were throwing everything that they could onto the track. And then I know that the Bob Varsha was like, please don't throw anything onto the track. There's still drivers out there risking their lives and stuff like that. But yeah, does Down East say see other?
Probably does.
Yeah.
You might have to Google it on yours. I'm having no luck finding it in this book.
Oh well.
I knew it had a different name too for a little while. I think it's still open too. It was a fast track, man. It was a trioval high bank, man. It had a pit road and all that stuff. Like all those tracks down south, like Tim said, at one time or another, they had a Grand National or a Cup race there. So they all have the pitting in the infield and the.
I found an East Carolina Motor Speedway.
That might be it.
I found a Down East Raceway. No, that's never mind. That's a group on Facebook. I'm gonna see if this has any pictures of it. Of course, their website is essentially useless right now. Oh well. Well, if I find anything on it, we'll. Oh yeah, that's a trioval. That is a trioval, so there's a good chance.
Yeah, that's it.
Pits on the infield.
And the trioval was on the front straightaway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a D shape. Track was cool, man. I really liked it. We only raced there once. No, matter of fact, I did go back because I remember going back and that guy was there again, and like we were a lot calmer with the whole time. I said, "Listen, man, I just followed you through the live traffic, and you just stopped." He's like, "Yeah, I saw that guy push up, and I thought he was going to get into me, and I stopped." I said, "Well, then what do you get mad about me for?" I said, "I couldn't stop in time. I was just following you through, Oh well.
I found a photo gallery, if it works. Yeah. Oh, they had monster trucks there not that long ago. It looks like. That looks like a cool track.
Yeah, it was a cool track. It was far though. It was far.
Tentative schedule subject to change. They have they have a 2019 schedule. Late models, Chargers, street stock, mini stock, bombers, bandolieros, I guess, or bandos they're calling them.
What's the current name of it?
East Carolina Motor Speedway. It looks like
what town is it in?
Oh, now you're just asking for everything. If I click on directions, Robertsonville, North Carolina. Route US 64.
Yep, that's it. It was way down that way.
Yeah. Scott's got a freaking map going on inside his head.
Yeah. I believe I remembered that. I just remember going down 95 and then you get on 64 East and going way out 64 East to this racetrack.
Oh well. All right. So I say we move on. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that Joe Graff Jr. this weekend at Talladega is his 1 year anniversary. Him losing that race by 3 inches.
Okay.
You see that article that I sent you?
Hmm.
So hopefully, I wish him and Hot Pockets good luck. And they have a big announcement coming out this weekend that may surprise a lot of people. So hopefully next weekend, I talked to Joe. They're supposed to make the announcement on Saturday, I do believe, and then he
Well,
said
why don't you just make it now? It sounds like you know what's going on. Just go ahead.
I don't know anything. I don't, that just and if that happens, he said he'll call into the show next Monday. So
Okay.
Yeah, and my book says Down East Motor Speedway, see East Carolina Motor Speedway.
Oh,
So now we'll go to East Carolina Motor Speedway. Robinsonville, a.k.a. Down East Motor Speedway, 3/8 mile paved oval, 1990 to present, a.k.a. East Carolina Motor Speedway.
huh.
Josh, looking at their 2019 schedule, do they have dog food night there again this year?
I did not see it.
All right, let's do what have we learned, and then we can move on to our Sunday live show at River Rock.
Yeah. All right. So let's go with Tim. What have you learned today?
I learned at that campground, most campers like to get damp, and then they double bag their tents. I might have to get a camper again to get back into that circle.
Scott, how about you?
I learned that Tim that is a trooper, and even though he knew it was going to rain in North Carolina, still made the 10-hour trip down there.
Oh.
But that's what you got to do. I even talked to Tim about that before he went. Me and Nancy do it too. But there's been times where we're like, hey, let's go to Martinsville. There's like a 90% chance of rain. I said, well, then we'll find something else to do. Like, look for something else in that area to do. This way, if you go down there and they race, great, you got to see the race. But if they don't race, then you can just go do something else.
Yeah.
Like Tim went and, the Kyle Busch Motorsports. He went around to the race shops. He tried a restaurant he always heard about. There's other stuff to do. Just go for it anyway. Don't miss the race because it's going to rain out. You can always find something else to do. I mean, there's times we'd go out to Pennsylvania and a race would rain out. We'd just go do something else. We'd do like one of those coal mine tours or
Ooh.
they have the caves at like Crystal Caverns and all that stuff. We'd just
Yeah.
go do something like that instead. So I think it was real cool that Tim drove all the way down there to go to Bowman Gray, and unfortunately they did not get the race in.
He got a hot dog.
He had two hot dogs. I
two.
learned he ate two hot dogs.
And Hot Pockets bought dinner that one night too, so I made out. Going back to what Scott says, it's more. I know the show's over, but it's more like people make excuses not to do anything anymore than to do it.
Right.
Just get in the car and go and have a good time. I had a blast. I had a great time.
Right.
So
Good. All right.
What have you learned?
Today I learned that Scott's friends double bag it at the campground. I learned that Scott prefers Talladega because it's bigger and wider. I learned that Scott weighs his car down with watermelons. And I learned that Hot Pockets is coming out this Saturday. So.
I also learned that Joe Graff needs 3 more inches. So
I saw that article about that had Josh written all over it. That's why I said it.
Oh well. All right. Well, this is a good show.
So that wraps up episode 134 of the RPM podcast. Thanks for everybody listening. Sorry we didn't have too much to talk about this weekend, but we did wing it and we did try to make it an entertaining show. Like I said, with Sunday we will be at the River Rock for a live podcast. Stop by, or Josh will have it up late Sunday night or Monday morning for you to listen to. And once again, go to Wall.
Yeah, go to Wall, then go to River Rock. Good night.
Good night, everybody.